All right, for those of you who are watching the recording, welcome to this meeting. My name is Anne and I'll be your moderator today. We will be recording the general information session.
All right, thanks, Anne. And again, to all of you who joined, a warm welcome to LUC on behalf also of the academic staff. As I mentioned at the outset, I'm a member of academic staff and I do most of my teaching in our major called World Politics. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of LUC. This is not LUC. This is a horrible picture from the war on Ukraine. This is a destruction of a Ukrainian town. And this speaks to the key theme of our college, which is the global challenges. So obviously one key global challenge is peace and justice, as we call it here at LUC. So we are interested in the roots of conflict, both domestic and international. We're interested in the causes of war, but we're of course also interested in tackling these global challenges. So understanding how wars can be either prevented or how they can be muted and ideally also settled, which leads me to the next slide. So after this doom and gloom picture of a destroyed town, I wanted to lift you guys a little bit up. So we do not just talk about horrible things that may or may not kill us. So it's also about opportunities, right? So global challenges and global opportunities are two sides of the same coin. I just showed you this horrible picture of a conflict. These conflicts have all kinds of long-term implications. Obviously, while they're raging, we have lots of casualties, destruction of infrastructure, of the economy, and they have a long shadow as well. Some of you might have read that in the last couple of weeks alone, in our neighboring country here to the Netherlands, in Germany, two huge bombs from the Second World War were discovered, and thousands of people, hospitals, and so on had to be evacuated for these bombs to be cleared. That's 79 years after the end of the Second World War. So what I'm trying to say is that these conflicts have a very long shadow that we often forget about. Right? The media shows us conflicts as they continue, as they are unfolding, but then sort of lose interest very quickly. But of course, for people on the ground, the conflict continues, for example, in the form of bombs that are still in the earth or landmines. So the picture that you see now, our little furry friend here, is a fantastic idea that people had a few decades ago, which helps to tackle one of these problems of the long shadow of conflict. So these are this is obviously a rat, and they are trained to sniff out landmines. So rats are great creatures, very intelligent, curious. They love to play, they love to learn, and they love to be fed. So if you combine those things, you can easily train rats to sniff out landmines. And landmines are a huge problem in many, many countries across the world, and they continue to harm the civilian population, sometimes decades after the official ending of a conflict. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that we are focused on global challenges. So these are large challenges that we as humanity need to tackle if we want to thrive. But we also talk about opportunities. So how do we do this? The next slide here, one of my favorite slides, the elephant, tries to highlight our approach to teaching. So we are a liberal arts and sciences college, so that means we believe strongly that it's very important early on in your education to lay a broad foundation and to use multiple disciplines to look at the world, to look at global challenges, at global opportunities. So the risk of not doing so is illustrated by this picture. So if you look too narrowly at the world, right, if you focus on just one discipline and you try to understand the world through the lens of one discipline, you run the risk of the people you see in the picture, right? So you might actually mistake the elephant for a wall or for a rope or for a tree trunk or for a snake. Right? So you need to combine multiple disciplines, academic disciplines, and you need to be able to step back and see the big picture. And that's precisely how we designed our program to give our students the skills and the knowledge base to do precisely that. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we talk a lot about global challenges. It's not all that we do, but it is an important theme in our program, especially in the first year. You'll be learning about global challenges in general. We talk about quite a few global challenges, 4 of which are listed here. Peace and justice, I already mentioned. So this has a lot to do with conflict and how to solve conflict and create peace. But we also talk about other things, diversity. We live in increasingly diverse societies that pose certain challenges, but also present certain opportunities. Of course, we live in an age where we have a huge sustainability crisis and prosperity. So socioeconomic resources are sharply divided. There's a lot of inequality. And again, that poses a major challenge. It's not all of the challenges we talk about at LUC, but these are important ones that you will come across, especially in the first year. All right, now the slide gets a little bit busier. So the global challenges give you sort of a broad way of introducing you to your studies. It gives you a lot of breadth because you really have to see these kind of big picture questions and challenges and understand them. But good education doesn't just give you breadth, it also gives you a good deal of depth. And in order to get the depth at LUC, we offer 6 majors that you can choose from. You see them all listed here on the slide. So at the very end of your first year, everybody gets to choose a major. And these are the 6 majors we offer. And the timing, I think, is important here. So you have a whole first year to get acquainted with LUC, to sample different courses, to dip your toe into different approaches. And it's only at the very end of the first year, after you've had quite a good deal of time, that you have to choose one of those majors to give you more depth and allow you to focus more on a specific area of study. So just to kind of sum up a little bit of some of the things that I already said, and in a nutshell, answer this question: what's the liberal arts and sciences approach? It's an approach to education that gives you a lot of flexibility. So we do take you seriously as a learner. You're not a child, you're an adult now. So we give you a lot of flexibility to choose and help sort of co-design your studies. You get a lot of selection opportunities starting in the first year, and then increasingly so in year 2 and year 3. As I mentioned, it's a combination of breadth and depth. We teach not just knowledge, but also transferable skills, so intellectual skills like critical thinking, practical skills that are transferable, right? So wherever you go, whatever you do after LUC, you will be able to use these skills. We also have a focus on social responsibility. So we want people to understand that they have rights, but also certain responsibilities to one another. So we want students, for example, to engage with local communities and see how local challenges connect to the bigger picture of global challenges. We're very international and we're small scale, and that's very important. So we always have over 50 nationalities at the college. Both our student population as well as our faculty are highly international, and we teach in small scale settings. So we do have some lectures in the first year, but most of the teaching, the overwhelming majority of the teaching, is not in large classes. It's actually in small seminars. So we have on average 20 students in a seminar, which means that as a professor, I know my students, I know their names, and over time, I also get to know their strengths and their weaknesses. And it's very interactive. There's a lot of discussion, communication. So you're not going to be a faceless face in the crowd, in a large lecture room, and nobody knows you and nobody cares about you. Okay, so this is the program structure, as you see. So this is the first year. And as I mentioned, in both the first semester and the second semester of the first year, you will take courses on global challenges to lay a certain foundation, also to make sure that all of our students have a similar starting base in terms of the knowledge that they have about the world. We also teach some skills, for example, academic writing. Good academic writing is often also just good writing. So even if you don't want to be an academic, most of our graduates are not academics afterwards. Don't pursue a career there, but good writing is important everywhere you go. And then you can also see at the bottom of the slide that both in the first semester and the second semester, we offer electives. So these are courses from a large pool of courses that you can select yourself, right? So you choose the topics that you find the most interesting, and that then will also help you select a major later on. So if you really loved courses in a specific major, in your first year, chances are this is probably the major that you should select for your second year and your third year. Maybe next slide. Exactly. So, as I mentioned, 6 majors to choose from, a very significant and large pool of elective courses that you can choose from. We do have a global citizenship component, so that helps you to develop certain cross-cultural skills. This can entail language learning. This can entail also engaging with local communities. We had a fantastic project where some of our students went to a local refugee community and taught English to refugees from Syria. So we link the global and the local in our program. And then something that I'm really proud of is what we call the capstone project. So this is your bachelor's thesis. I know this might sound like a long time ahead. So this is at the very end of your studies in your third year. And what I really like about our project here is that it is self-directed. So you choose your own research project. That's, you select this. You get a supervisor that you also can select. So you get one-on-one tuition, you get one-on-one guidance, and then you conduct your own research project, right? Your bachelor's thesis is an independent research project on a topic that you chose yourself. So we don't give you a topic, we don't force a topic on you. It's your own project. Yes, options, options, options. So I mentioned we are a very flexible program. So we might be overloading you with information here. This is all also online. So if you want to have a look in your own time, all of this information you will find online. But part of the flexibility and the large pool of choices you have is that we designed the program so that you do have that wiggle room. So for example, if you really love one of our 6 majors, but you also really are interested in another one, you can combine the two, right? You can major in one major. For example, my major is called World Politics. That's also Avril's major. But you're really also interested in law. Then we've got a major called International Justice. So you can minor in International Justice and major in World Politics. We also have subject areas, which I find really interesting, and I would encourage you to look into those, such as journalism, psychology, gender studies, and philosophy. So we offer multiple courses that hang together in those subject areas. For example, we've got multiple courses on journalism taught by real-life journalists. And if you're interested in journalism, I would strongly recommend that you take those courses. Another thing that I'm really proud of is that we have a huge selection of exchange programs. So from the United States to Chile to Egypt to Australia, all over Europe, and so on and so forth. We've got a lot of great partner institutions. Some of the world's best universities are partnered with us. So you can take a semester abroad at one of those institutions. Last not least, for those who are Dutch speakers and interested in law, we offer a double degree with the Leiden Law School. For those of you who have musical or other artistic interests, The Hague is full of is a city of politics, but it's also a city of the arts. So we have students who take courses at the Royal Conservatory and the Academy of Performing Arts, courses in photography, in jazz trumpet, in vocalization, and so on and so forth. So this is all part of the flexibility of our program. Okay, I'm starting to wrap up here, and then I'm going to hand over to our other panelists. An important part of the college, which makes it very different from a specific course of study at a regular university, is that we are a residential college. So our students live together. All of the first-year students and the second-year students live together in one building right in the heart of The Hague. Every student has their own apartment, but you live together on various floors.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about this because I am a student and I am living on one of those floors right now. Thank you very much, Dr. Hebel. So my name is Avro for the people that are watching the recording. I'm a second-year student here, and as Dr. Hebel already mentioned, we have 400 studio apartments on top of the academic floors. So your first and your second year, you live here, and then in your third year, you move out. A lot of people do exchange and then come back and do their capstone, for example. So yeah, you have your own studio, own kitchen, own bathroom, and each floor has its own common room and its own residential assistant. Your residential assistant helps you with bigger things like mental health problems, but also with smaller things like taxes, for example, small things you might not think of on first hand. Yeah, it's a high-rise building right next to the central station. It's very central, really easy to get to. You literally walk out and there you have the station. Trains go from The Hague to, anywhere in Europe, basically. Yeah, the community aspect I'll talk about a little bit later. If we move on to the city of The Hague. Yes, perfect. So The Hague is the international city of peace and justice. It's the third largest city in the Netherlands. It's quite close to Amsterdam and Rotterdam, and those are both cities that I love to visit on my weekends. And we have institutions like the International Criminal Court and also the Peace Palace. But next to that, we have, I think, more than 250 international organizations and NGOs. Yeah, so it's a city full of opportunity. You can do whatever you want with any type of organization, from women's rights to sustainability to, the range is huge. So yeah, a lot of people also take this opportunity and do an internship, for example, in your long summer break, because we have approximately a 2.5 month, 3-month summer break. So they do an internship there. You don't have to, you can also just chill. That's what I did. Or in their third year, for example, they can also take an internship. This is the Peace Palace, by the way. This is located in The Hague. So a little bit more about the community aspect right now. Yeah, so you live on campus, yeah, in the middle of the city. And here you can see a common room. Actually, it's a little bit bigger than this. And a common room is our space. We can paint on the walls. We can do all sorts of stuff there. So we often use the common rooms for floor dinners. So your residential assistant also is in charge of organizing fun stuff like floor dinners, floor crawls, which is like mini games through the floor. Or yesterday, which is really fun, we had a trick or treat throughout the entire building from like floor 21 to floor 5, and it was really fun. Floor 13 was completely transformed in like a haunted house, and it was yeah, it was super fun. And we can also have parties here, but we don't. Then we go to the next one. So yeah, so we have a very strong international student community. So as we have already mentioned, like people from all over the world, but we always find this connection between us. Let's say a lot of people love traveling. We have the hitchhiking competition every every autumn break. It's really fun. It's really cool to see all the pictures coming in every time. So yeah, you can learn from each other. We do potlucks, for example. I organize a Asian potluck every block, and everyone brings Asian food, and we all just eat. And yeah, it's really great also in class actually to have the different viewpoints from different cultures and countries and groups of people. We really learn from each other, and yeah, but you know, here you can see in this picture, you can see the student bar called Coasters, run by students actually. And we have our own little tradition that when the bar closes, which will actually tonight will be Halloween party, which I'm really excited for. We play Piano Man, and then we know it's time to take the stairs and go back to our rooms. So yeah, Coasters is one of the committees within LUC. So if we go to the next slide, we can see that yeah, so as soon as you come in, you're part of Fortuna, the student association, and they are kind of the big sister of all the committees. So they organize activities and events. This is really important for us. They also play a role in the academic life of the student as well. So yeah, so that's how we also interact with our academic staff and our administrative staff. Some really interesting committees are the pantomime. It's like a musical almost, and it's like a secret every year, so we never really know what happens, but it's always great fun. The hitchhiking competition, which I already talked about, but there are also many sports like field hockey, like what else? Football, basketball, volleyball, running. I think surfing is another one. So yeah, that one is also really fun, but we also have stuff like debating club or Model United Nations, or outside groups like UNICEF. You can also start your own committee. I think the other day I saw something about the LUC choir, which I didn't know that existed. So I think that's a new one. And for example, committees like Money Matters came into play like this. You also have committees on sustainability, like ActAware, but also diversity and inclusion. So yeah, and a little bit more about the Hague itself. So besides all the opportunities in the Hague is also just a gorgeous city to live in. It's very close to nature. That was really important for me, especially when it gets stressful in the later weeks of your block. There's a park right next to the building, and it's called Haagse Bos. And it's gorgeous. Like, especially now in the fall, it smells really good. I love to run there. When it was a little bit warmer, I would go with my best friend, Mike. I would go to the beach right before Dr. Hebel's class to just take a dive. And then we were in class all fresh. It was great. So it's great living in The Hague. Besides all the opportunities, The Hague itself is also really gorgeous. So I'm going to hand it back over to my colleagues now. Thank you. I think. Yeah, perfect.
Hi. I hope everyone can hear me. I didn't get to introduce myself earlier. My name is Salhana. I graduated last year from LUC. I majored in international justice, and now I work here at the university. So I'd like to explain the different support systems that we have. So I'm sure you're well aware what liberal arts and sciences is, and you've heard from lovely people in this panel today. But when you are here coming as a student, you have different support systems that you can lean towards. So you can have an academic advisor in your first year that's there to guide you with deciding a major, How is it in your transition from high school? And then you'll have another professor when you actually are in your major, and they'll be helping you throughout those 3 years then. And you also have a peer advisor, which is a student that is actually from the major that can help answer your questions on first year courses, but also when you're deciding that choice for your second and third year, which major you want to do. You also have lovely study advisors. So now they're different from the academic support because they're here to help you with certain rules with how many electives you have to take. Did I reach the mandatory things to go study abroad? What options do I have for my elective space? Do I want to take a minor in a different university? They're your go-to people for those sort of things. And because we live in the same building and we're a university college, we also offer a much more personal support than a regular program. So we have a wonderful student life officer, actually really exciting. She'll be giving a sample lecture, the literature one, later on today. And she's the one that really focuses on creating a community environment on the residential floors and bridging that together with the academics. So she's in charge of a lovely group of residential assistants. Now, these are usually second or third year students that live on the floor with you, but have extensive training, and they're your first point of contact if anything goes wrong, living in the building or living in The Hague, etc., etc. And we also have this is actually a picture of the residential assistants from last year. And we also have 2 student life counselors, which is different from other programs because they're tailored specifically to work here at LUC. And so the waiting list is super small because they only work for LUC students. And here is the really exciting part of this presentation, which is what do students do after LUC? So most of our alumni pursue a master's, but some do go into a second bachelor's degree or actually directly into a PhD, which is quite exciting. But of course, there are some students of ours that do start a job immediately, do a traineeship, volunteer, or travel, and then maybe do a master's or just start a job immediately after. So the options are way too many to really explain all in depth, but I always say LUC is what you make of it. So it's exactly how you tailor it to be and what you can do after. And that also goes to show because a lot of our students decide to stay in the Netherlands. I think briefly we were looking at numbers and it's around 38% stay in the Netherlands based off a survey we did. And these are the top university destinations in the Netherlands that they go to pursue their further education after LUC. But a good amount also go abroad. So this is another list of universities that people go to do their master's or PhD in. And if you're trying to wonder, wow, like LUC is super complicated, what does it mean to actually work after? Well, we have this little graph here to show the type of industries or companies that graduates work at. So of course, this might look super foreign and confusing, like what is, I don't know, professional services mean? But essentially what we want to show is that there's a lot of opportunities post LUC. And like I said earlier, it's what you want to do and how you tailor your 3 years here in order to do what you want after. And this is actually my favorite slide because here are some really nice career options that our graduates are currently doing. And I think it goes to show that no one really does the same thing. And even if they do, they got there differently. And also you can see the 6 different majors throughout these career options. So yeah, I think I will hand over to my colleague now.
Yes, so that was all the exciting stuff. Now we go into the more practical stuff, of course. So yeah, what does it cost to be on campus and to follow this small-scale education, this interdisciplinary education? So for some students that are already a bit knowledgeable about tuition fees in the Netherlands, you can see on the screen that the tuition fees for LUC are a bit higher in order to facilitate that small-scale education. So there's a difference in the national tuition fee depending on your nationality. So students from within the European Economic Area, they can make use of a subsidized tuition fee yearly. So for LUC, that is roughly 5,500 euros. And for non-EU students, it's about 20,000 euros per year. And of course, it can change every year due to inflation. So keep that in mind. And then there is the campus fee. That is a yearly payment needed to make use of the facilities on campus, to also finance the student life officer and the residential assistants, for example. And the best part about this slide actually is the rent. And you may think, why is that the best part? Well, you get a room on campus, and it's quite a nice room. You will also see it in the virtual campus tour, sorry. It's about 25 square meters, and you have your own bathroom and kitchen facilities. And the amount that you pay per month for a studio in the center of a major city in the Netherlands is quite a good deal. So that's what I'm excited about. I wish I had this room, of course. So you pay about with rent subsidy, and rent subsidy is a subsidized fee that you can qualify for when you are 18 years or older. The rent will be about 400, 450 per month. So I would say a very nice deal. Personal expenses is, of course, depending on how you live. If you go to visit your parents in Paris every weekend, you obviously have a higher personal expense rate. But if you like to live on beans for the rest of the week, that's also an opportunity or possibility that you can do. Depends per student, so this is just an indication, obviously. All right, next to admissions. So we have a very specific kind of program that we have on offer, and we are always looking for the right fit of students, right? And we do that by testing applicants with a very elaborate application process. And we call it a holistic application process. And what this essentially means is that we look at more than just minimum grades, for example. So in most programs in the Netherlands, students need to obtain a certain amount of grades, and then they're in. But at LUC or any university college, actually, they look at a specific type of person that is fit to be here, and also fit to be here, and also vice. I hear myself. Thanks. And also vice versa, that we are a fit for you, obviously, right? So how we test that is by looking at your grades, of course. That is about 50% of your application. It's obviously the most important parts. That's how we test if you can deal with the kind of intense pace that we teach in our college. But we also look at your motivation. Why do you want to be here? Why do you want to study liberal arts and sciences? Why do you want to do it here at LUC, for example? So that's also a very important part, how we can discover that you're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for you. Now, of course, Kai talked about it as well. We are also about societal engagement, local engagement, also living in a social community like this. You live in one building with each other. We like to test that with your experiences that you have done outside of the classroom. So extracurricular activities, volunteer work, a job, an internship, a hobby, a sport, all kinds of things that you can use. And all those three factors combined, once you make an application, you have to submit that, obviously. That will determine if you are a good fit for the program. So we're looking for students that are broadly interested, internationally orientated, want to be open-minded, want to be engaged, want to work hard, take responsibility, etc., etc. Right? So yeah, very elaborate admissions process. Now, what most, or maybe not most, but what many of you are here for is, of course, the reflection part. So that's something that we're piloting this year. We used to do interviews, but now we think that writing or experiencing LUC is actually a very good chance to make you aware of what it is like to be at LUC, to have visited LUC, though it's virtually, the sample classes are going to be great, I promise you. So with that experience, we want to test you if you have experienced LUC, how you have experienced it, and how you will use this experience, right, in order to make your decision if you want to come and study here or not. So this experience is part of your application. The admissions office, you can request the reflection form at the admissions office. It's a 150-word reflection, so a short reflection that will ask you to reflect on the experience that you have done at LUC. So what did you learn? Why does it matter? How will I use this learning? Maybe does it affect your future thinking? So try to not be descriptive, try to not be general, but rather try to be insightful, nuanced, show a level of understanding about what you've done. Maybe you've learned something new or something has changed your values, maybe. So try to reflect on that and show development, introspection, and enthusiasm. So that's what I can tell you about the reflection. Don't be nervous about it, okay? What I forgot to mention on the previous slide, by the way, is that we work with 2 deadlines. On the 1st of December, we have a deadline for the early bird rounds, and on the 15th of March, we have a deadline for the regular round. So we have 2 rounds. There's no difference in how we select. So if you want to know your answer more early, it's of course nice to apply early. If you don't feel that you're ready for it, you can apply by the 15th of March, obviously. Yes, and for the reflection, there are different deadlines. So you can write your reflection even after you have submitted all of the other documents in the application phase. So you can submit your application and request to write your reflection afterwards. Obviously, you cannot be selected for the program up until the moment that you have submitted your reflection. So keep that in mind.
We have a panel of students who are going to be answering your questions. We have a teacher here somewhere as well. We have several staff members. So some of your questions will be answered by chatting back at you, and some of your questions will be read out loud, and then we'll try to answer them. So who are in my panel? I think I have Ines, correct? Can you introduce yourself, Ines?
Yeah, I've been having some trouble with my Wi-Fi, so hopefully this will work. But hi everyone, I'm Ines. I'm a second-year student at LUC. I'm in the Culture, History and Society major, and I'm originally from Portugal.
All right, perfect. And I'm lost here for a second. Who's my other student who is joining me in the Q&A? Are they here already?
Me, I think.
Yes, okay, perfect. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hello everyone, my name is Caio. I am from Brazil. I am a 3rd-year student at LUC. My major is Governance, Economics and Development. And alongside my studies here at LUC, I also do an internship with a political party here in The Hague.
All right, perfect. And then we have our teacher, Yuri, who is going to join us as well and share from the academic perspective.
Hi everyone, my name is Yuri. I'm a professor in the EES major. I study mostly climate change and earth system science, and that's where I also teach on mostly, including some of you just now in the central lecture.
All right, perfect. I'm trying to have us all float to the top, but it's a little bit difficult to do. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started with our Q&A. I do see Laura here as well. I wasn't sure whether Laura was going to answer questions on screen or in the chat, but Laura, please introduce yourself as well.
I'm Laura. I'm a 3rd-year student doing GED, so Governance, Economics and Development, but I'll be answering your questions on the chat, so yeah.
Okay, amazing. And you'll see Laura later as well, because she'll do the virtual campus tour together with Caio. All right. And maybe good for you to know is that we have another staff member in the chat. So our admissions officer, who was already introduced to you before, and we have Esley as well, who is our study advisor. Could someone explain the relationship between Leiden and the Hague campus? Caio, could you do that?
Yes, absolutely. So Leiden University is the big Leiden University. So it has 30,000 students, master's programs, bachelor's programs. And LUC is the honors college of Leiden University. I think you probably went through that already in the presentation. But there are also other courses of Leiden University in The Hague. So there is, for instance, international relations and organizations in the other campus. There is international studies. So some other programs, also bachelor's, for instance, and master's, also in The Hague, but not in the same campus as LUC. So as an LUC student, you have access to all of these buildings. You are part of Leiden University, but you also have your own little community in your own campus here, what we call AVB, the Leiden University College building. So that's a bit how it works. But yeah, as a Leiden University student, you have access to all of those facilities. And yeah.
All right,
I hope
perfect.
I answered the question.
Yeah, actually, I like that you mentioned that, because we didn't cover that in the presentation actually, because we assume when people come to the experience day that we zoom in specifically on LUC. So I'm glad that someone asked and that we got a chance to explain that. Thank you. So how many hours of FaceTime class do students get versus personal work? Ines?
Yeah, so I think that's sort of been answered in the chat, but I can offer my kind of perspective.
Yeah, so maybe so some questions will be answered via chat, but we will also mark some that we think is worth for the plenary. So there might be a bit double. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So you will usually be taking 3 classes per block. One block is sort of half a semester. It's the different structure that we use here. So in a week, you'll usually have about 12 hours of in-person class time in front of a teacher. And your separate and your biggest workload, I would say, is individually. So preparing for those classes by reading, by doing research, by writing your papers and your presentations. And that's very personal how much time you take up on that. But in my personal experience, it's a bit more of individual work versus face-to-face.
All right. And you guys do a lot of group work and presentations as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's also a lot of working together with other people, whether it's just to study together or to make presentations, group reports. A lot of things are made with other people rather than just on your own.
All right. And maybe we can ask Yuri to talk about that a little bit, because you teach at LUC. So do you use like specific teaching or assessment methods that would be different from a regular study program, or?
Yeah, so regular study programs, it has to do with the class size, right? The class size is smaller, which means that there's more time, frankly, to do assessments. So in bigger, in most studies where you have a 200-person lecture hall, you have to do exams, multiple choice exams, because that's the only way in which you can manage to, in general, do grading. But here we can experience all sort of things. So even an exam is often more like doing essay questions, or doing something on the spot. There's a lot of presentations. Particular majors have their own individual things. So as I said, I teach in EES, we do a lot of group work, but also like field work, and put a grade onto that, or creating stuff. You have method courses where you have to actually do a science like an actual scientific project. So there's all sorts of stuff that's happening, which is nicer than just doing exams.
All right, cool. Thank you. I'm trying to make sure to pin the person who's answering, but maybe it's chaotic. I don't know. Let me know. Let me see. Admission rate. Maarten, what is the admission rate for the program?
Admission rate is about 1 in 3. So depending on the year, on average, we get about 700 applications. Obviously, we only have to place for 200 students. Yeah, we send a lot of people an offer, but some people also choose to go to another place. So I would say 1 in 3, 33% is the rate.
Right. And Ines, since you talked about how much time you spend on classes and such, can you talk a bit more about the workload and also the ability to combine your studies with a part-time job, for example?
Absolutely. So I think in your first year, I wouldn't recommend, especially in the first semester, already wanting to get a job and do a bunch of different things at once, because you need some time to settle in and to get used to the new rhythm of work. But especially in the second year, I would say most people I know have some sort of part-time job. That's here in the Netherlands, they have 0-hour contracts where you don't have to work a set time of hours per week. You can sort of adjust it to your schedule. So it's a lot more flexible. And you don't need to speak Dutch for most of these part-time jobs. It's quite easy to find opportunities. As for working that into your week, for me, getting a part-time job was helpful because when you have such little time in class, you have the tendency to think, oh my God, so much free time. I can just delay my work until later. But if you have other commitments like a job, you sort of learn to block off some time periods and really focus on what you have to do for class. I'd say that I've never felt like I don't have the time for doing the things that I want or need to do in a week. But it does take some time to find that balance. And so you have to resist the urge to get involved in too many things from the start and find that balance first.
All right. Do you want to add anything to that, Kayo, from your perspective?
I pretty much agree with Nash here. I think yeah, I think you really need to find your balance. Like if you, at first, especially if you come from a high school where you're like a really good student, and once you get good grades, you may come here with this mindset of I need to always get an A. And university, it's a bit different. At UC as well, you don't usually get an A that easily, so you gotta get adjusted to that, and sometimes give you space to, okay, this time I'm gonna study a bit less and have more social activities. So yeah, it's about finding your balance, but it's definitely doable to have other stuff going on in addition to just classes.
All right. Now, I see that there are quite a lot of questions coming in about the reflection, about the sample class, as well as where to find the form. Yes, of course. So Maarten, can you tell a bit about how this works?
Yeah, so if you make an application to LUC, I believe in the second emailing that you will receive from admissions, or even the first, the link to the reflection form is in there. So once you register in StudyLink and start your application in our university application portal, you will receive an email from us with a link to the reflection form. If you want to receive this reflection form earlier, you can also email us at the admissions office, so you can have a look before you submit an application, actually.
Yeah, and also we just discussed in maybe including it already in the follow-up email of this event as well. So if we remember to do that, then we will do it. And of course, for the people who are not applying yet, they can ignore it at that point. This is a question about comparing different programs, which is kind of difficult to do. So how is the Leiden International Studies program different than this program? And whether students can apply for both. Is there anyone in my panel who would endeavor to answer that without saying too much about other programs, I guess? Yuri?
Yeah, I can try. I think the main difference that you need to understand is like what you're now comparing is the global challenges part of the international studies. But the complete title of the program, of course, is liberal arts and sciences, and that's what makes us a bit more unique, not just from international studies, but also from many other programs at Leiden University and in the Netherlands. So this is a liberal arts and science college. That means that we try to embrace the interdisciplinary mindset. So you're not only getting courses on the topics that is maybe your central focus, but also things that we find are valuable in life, as for example, becoming a diplomat. So that means like mathematics, if you want to do politics, but also philosophy, especially if you want to do the natural sciences. These are all courses that are fundamental to that. Is in the arts, doing literature, for example, or getting to know Dutch history through art is like an example of something like that. So the liberal arts and science component is, I think, what makes us a bit more unique. Hope that answers the question a bit, Anna.
Yeah, I think so. I think the difficulty is also, I completely understand when you're in high school and you're trying to decide what to apply to, that you're trying to compare different programs. And every experience will be different. I think indeed, like Yuri said, the university college setting will make a big difference versus studying what we call a regular study program. The other advice I can give you is to attend some online sessions from the international studies program so that you have an idea, you get a sort of a vibe check, as well as looking at the courses that are on offer. Because in international studies, you pick a region of the world and you study that one in depth. So you focus on the politics, the culture, the history, and a language, as well as the economics of a specific region. So it's really regional studies, and it falls under the humanities. So it takes a humanities focus. I think that is enough about that. Thank you, Yuri. Study abroad opportunities. Maarten, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So in your third year, you have the option to go study abroad for 1 semester. And Leiden University and LUC, which is part of Leiden University, have a lot of partner universities that you can go to. So in your second year, I believe you have to orientate yourself to find a study destination that you want to go to in your third year for 1 semester. And yeah, it ranges from Japan, Korea, the US, South Africa, South America, everywhere in the world.
Exactly. Very well explained. Someone asked already quite early on, are there options for language courses to learn Dutch or to maintain German? Kayo or Ines, has one of you taken a language course or?
I'm taking Dutch right now. I can then give you the floor, Ines.
Sure.
I also, like, part of the LUC requirement, there's this component called global citizenship, which is something that you need to take either a class or either a language class or some other specific courses to fill this requirement. And most people take a language class, so they are not only offered but also incentivized, and most people end up taking a language. But also, I remember this is usually something you do on your second and third year, or third year. But I remember my first year as well, and I think this was also the case for this year. Fortuna, which is a student association of LUC, partnered with a language course of Dutch. And they also did with a big discount for LUC students. And I think as well for, if I'm not mistaken, for your new curriculum that is taking place from next year, Dutch language is also going to be a component of the first year. So you also learn a bit of that on your first year as well.
Yeah, exactly. So the students who are here now will automatically get a little bit of Dutch language in their curriculum already. And if you are a native Dutch speaker, you will get an alternative, for example, focused on professional Dutch, if you might want to work in the Netherlands later on. In terms of, like, if you already have a basic level of German and you want to continue, there is a limit to the language level that we offer. So you would have to check with the language center of Leiden University. But one really good way to maintain level if you already speak a language is by finding people at LUC that speak that language, because that's a really good way to practice it as well. Question about application, Maarten. How important is math for applying here? The age-old math question that always comes back.
The age-old math question, yes. Well, first of all, math is a good indicator of logical thinking, and that's what we like to do here at LUC. So that's why we have a certain value for mathematical knowledge, but of course it's also something that LUC will teach you in your first year. So when we say we require math skills to make an application to LUC as a program, it's more of a preference that we want to have some sort of insight into your mathematical skills, what level you are on, to see if you will be successful, for example, in the first year. That can grant you all of the possibilities to explore the arts and the sciences, for example. If you're not so very good at math, then of course you will have more trouble with choosing the sciences courses. And that's what liberal arts and sciences is all about, right? Now, I must say that skills, again, they are a preference in the application process. So students that do not meet the mathematical requirement, for example, that you can find on the website, don't worry about it, right? We're not looking for mathematical geniuses. Math is a very, very small part of the selection process. We have admitted students that were not proficient in math before, for example, French students that hadn't taken math for 2 years, for example. They also started the program. They were also successful in this program. So don't worry about it too much. Again, math is a very important part of your life, and we will definitely dedicate it a lot of statistical courses, for example, in the first year, or other logical thinking, to make you aware of the value of numbers, right? So that's what LUC math is about.
Yeah, actually, it might be good to hear from Yuri as well, because you teach in one of the science majors. So what would your answer to that be if students are worried about, you know, math, or how important math is in the application process?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry indeed about it. As Maarten said, math, but also data and data science is incredibly important in this world that's ruled by data. Particularly now with AI, so it's a valuable thing. It's not just oh, I have to do this sort of stuff. At the same time, it's not a mathematics program. It's also not like a hardcore science program. So there might also be people in this room that are on the opposite side, that like would like to do a lot of mathematics, which there's definitely opportunities for that. But at the same time, LUC goes quite a lot into the sciences, but it's mostly very conceptual, which means that again, you don't have it's not a hardcore physics program. Again, some people think that's really nice. The mathematics here is focused on statistics, data science, In my case, my personal case, also a little bit of how to make models like climate models and that sort of stuff. That's where most of the mathematics come into. If you're interested in programming, by the way, it's a great program because we have a lot of that sort of stuff, particularly with data science, keeping that in mind.
Nice. Data science and computer programming as an option. Okay, cool. Well, Kaio, you're doing one of the more mathematical majors. So maybe one last, I don't know, shout out regarding math from your perspective?
Yeah, I'm probably the worst person in the mathematical major of governance, economics, and development to talk about this because I take basically all the governance part of governance,
Okay.
economics, and development, and really little economics part of governance, economics, and development. But yeah, it shows how even if you're doing a more sciencey major, it's still, of course, important to have math, and you still have to take an economics class. But yeah, if you don't love it, like me, you can still even do this major without loving math and using a lot of math.
I think actually that's it's valuable to stay with you because one of the questions was what percentage of our classes have to be based on our major versus how many other electives can we take? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So on your first year, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me, but on this new curriculum, I think on your first year you take 2 electives, as far as I remember.
2 electives and one within the math and sciences basket as well.
Yes.
So
exactly.
3-ish.
So yeah. So on your first year, you have these options. You also test out what major you think you like the most. And also on your second year and third year is when you specifically focus on your major, but you still have options to take electives. For instance, in this semester that I'm currently in, so the third year, first semester, like Martin said, you can go in exchange, but you can also just take electives, a bunch of electives at IUC, which is what I'm doing. So I'm just taking a lot of classes from different majors. So you can always have the option, or also a minor, where you can take like a minor within a major. So you are doing GED like me, but you like environmental science, you like ES. So you can also take a minor in ES during the semester, and also a minor in another Dutch university as well. So those are all possibilities. So you can always shape it a lot and have a lot of electives and a lot of space outside your major. But yeah, mainly on your second and third year, it's more focused on your major, but still with elective spaces.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's always very difficult to qualify, and it took me a while when I started working here as well to figure out exactly how it works. But hopefully it gives people some insights into all the different possibilities that you have. I see quite a few questions also about employability, broad versus in-depth. I think maybe that's a good question for Yuri. Does the breadth of a university college degree sacrifice depth of study in your chosen topic? For example, if the average LUC student has less knowledge in politics, for example, if they chose a world politics major versus a political science student from the university. Now, of course, your field is Earth, Energy, and Sustainability, but
yeah, it works the same in the sense that there are 2 answers to this question. So the first one is at LUC, you learn also how to learn quickly. And we see that with alumni, they're very quick in adopting new systems, or like, when they start working for somebody to understand how things work. So they're good in learning stuff, which helps you, even if you're maybe a little bit behind on some topics, to catch up very quickly. We hear that also back from alumni that do masters, where on a topic that they were maybe not so familiar with. Second thing is that the topics of the courses are pretty broad, right? Like you can go into very different things. But then when you take a course, you often go actually quite in depth on a particular topic, which helps you a lot to really understand, again, how to learn something, how to get deep into a topic, but also within the topic, like what are the different debates about. So yes, you can take many different courses, giving you a very wide understanding of global challenges as a whole. But at the same time, when you take a course, you often pretty quickly go into depth on that particular topic, because we also go a bit faster, right? That's the fast pace and more intense part of this program. We go a little bit faster than some other programs do.
yeah, and I think so Hannah is very busy at the moment answering and finding questions, but Kaio, you're in year 3, so maybe you can reflect about this from your point of view as well. Do you feel like you go sufficiently in depth as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he made a good point that despite it being a broad course in the sense that you learn from different areas, when you learn about something, you go really in depth about it. So, and in terms of employability and market, I think it has its benefits and its problems. Of course, it's less clear to you whenever you're done. Like, what was I trained for? You were not trained for one specific job, but that's also a big advantage that you can choose from different options. And whenever you go into a position, you also will be a good employee in the sense of you will not only be good in your specific area, but also in other topics. For instance, me as an intern with a political party, this is super helpful because I can go with like sustainability is not at all my area of major, but I had a sustainability class at LUC. So whenever this is a topic that's being discussed, I can give an insight as well because I have this background. So yeah, this is a big advantage of it.
All right, thank you. I think it also links to the master programs that students do after graduation. So often the major that you do will be the link to a potential master program. And we see that a majority of our students do a master. And at that point, for the outside world, if they're looking at what type of master do you have, you will be on the same level as someone who's done an in-depth degree as well, because you are admitted to that master program, you graduate from that master. And you saw also in our presentation that students get into really prestigious master's programs. So that hopefully is a kind of external qualifier of the fact that the knowledge is strong enough to go into in-depth fields as well. I'm trying to think what I should prioritize because we have about 15 minutes left. Some questions about admissions, Maarten. If we do not qualify all the academic requirements, is it still worth applying? Go ahead.
Yeah. So we have a holistic assessment, meaning that if you fall a little bit short on some academic requirements, you can still write a killer motivation, and maybe that will even out any deficiencies that you may have. Do keep in mind that we are selective. So if there is another applicant that has also a very good motivation and did meet the academic score, then obviously that person is selected above somebody that has the same profile but not the right academic qualification. So you can definitely try. I would encourage you to try if you're close to the recommendation or if you're close to the requirements.
Yes, but I do want to add something because we have a baseline. So if you are, for example, studying for the IB, but you're not going to achieve the full IB, you're going to take IB courses, then you don't meet the baseline requirement. So that's a different type of problem.
Yeah, so Leiden University has minimum requirements of each specific diploma. So you definitely do need to meet those. Otherwise, you cannot simply start the program. However, because we are a selective program, we have the luxury to ask for a higher grade requirement. But that's where the selection starts, right? So the Leiden University minimum requirements, that's the baseline that you need to meet. And the Leiden University College requirements is where the selection then starts.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to clarify that in case people understand it in different ways. There was actually a question about BA versus BSc majors. So the difference is really, it's just a type of accreditation in the Netherlands. BA is Bachelor of Arts, BSc is Bachelor of Science. Both of them are university degrees. Both of them are recognized and accredited. The diploma you get will be given out by Leiden University and your major will be listed on your diploma as well. So they are equally valid. The BSc is a little bit more quantitative in nature. So there might be slightly more statistics in that, but that's the main difference. So if you chose Culture, History and Society, which is a Bachelor of Arts, you can apply for Master of Arts degrees all around the world with that as well. You can even apply for some Masters of Science. Sometimes you might need to take a little bit of extra statistics. So if people are thrown off by the BA, BSc part, then that is what that comes from. Have older students been joining before, potentially career changers, or do you have any tips for the application in such a case? I think Sohana said that she would be willing to answer that, but I don't know if she is. Calling out Sohana.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Go for it.
Perfect. Actually, that is the case. So I think that maybe it's a myth that that everyone that comes to LUC straight from high school, because I think why that is quite a lot of the students that do come here in the first year. There are actually quite a lot of students that maybe have taken a gap year after their high school to explore, travel, volunteer, work a little bit before figuring out what they want to do at university. But there's also circumstances in which someone's actually attended a different university program, realized maybe this is not the fit for them, found liberal arts and sciences and got excited about it and come to LUC. So I think the majority is depending on your age when you finish high school, but there have been more than a handful of students every year that are older, and they don't really have issues with getting involved in the community, because in the other years, other people are older and there's not so much of a distinction between first, second, and third year when you sort of get to know people when you live here. So I wouldn't stress too much about that. But in terms of tips of your application, we'll just be honest with everything you've done. You can always write about what you've did during your gap year, maybe an experience that really shaped why you want to do liberal arts and sciences. So that would be a little tip just from me.
Thank you. A while back, so the way we're doing this is that Sohana is selecting the questions for me, otherwise we'll go nuts with all your questions. So a while back she put as one of the questions, what are internship opportunities like? And I know that Laura has done an internship, so she can respond in the chat. Kayo, you're doing an internship. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So The Hague is a really international city, and it's this international city of peace and justice. So there are a lot of internship opportunities for politics students, for like all this, and all other majors as well. I think there are a lot of international organizations, embassies, all this type of things, and political institutions. So yeah, like something about the Netherlands that I noticed when applying for internships, that most of the internships for some reason are full-time, which is a bit annoying when you want to do it alongside your study. But for instance, mine is, but it's extremely flexible. So when I was applying, I mentioned to them, I'm in university and you're asking for full-time. I won't be available the entire day because I'll be having classes. And they're like, we're completely flexible. So yeah, and the hour that is in the contract is more just an estimation. So even in that case, it's a possibility. So, and yeah, there are a lot of opportunities in The Hague and online. So I'd say, yeah, I applied for just the one that I'm doing now. So I don't know how other people's experience with application for internship was, but there are definitely a lot of opportunities in The Hague.
Yeah, I think versus being in a different city, you already have everything at your doorstep, but then it's good to know that an internship is not an integrated part of the program. So a lot of students arrange their own internships and you can get some credit for it. Ines, are you thinking about doing an internship as well, or?
I am, and I've been looking at some opportunities either for the winter break, which is quite short, it's only a month, or for the summer break. I would say that even because I've been looking both in The Hague and back home, because your credit transfer is possible even if you're doing your internship elsewhere. I'd say that the only thing you have to watch out for is to find something that aligns with your interests, but also with the requirements that you need to be able to count it for credits, if that's something you want. But I also had many people in my year who did internships in the summer last year that were purely for the experience of it and didn't necessarily count towards their degree, but it's still a great opportunity to have if you're trying to figure out if that field of practice is for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is ultimately you're doing it all for yourself, right? Like after high school, going to uni is a great privilege essentially, and you're doing it to expand your own horizons, I would say. Let me see. There's a lot of practical questions. I want to make sure that we make full use of our panel. So actually, this is practical again. Sorry, Maarten. The rent and the campus fee are additional costs to the tuition fee. I might have misunderstood it on the website. Can you give us the breakdown? Should I share the slide again?
Yeah, so tuition fee is a yearly fee that you pay to follow classes at a program at Leiden, and then LUC has an additional fee that makes the small scale education possible. So most programs are actually cheaper than LUC, but LUC offers a lot of more benefits, so to say. Then you can see the campus fee, which is not a tuition fee part, but it's still a yearly fee needed in order to facilitate the support on campus, like the student life counselor and the residential assistants. And the rent is the amount of money that you pay for your room, right? So it's a monthly fee that you'll pay for your room specifically. So these are all expenses that you have to pay in order to follow the program.
All right, thank you. So the difference for, if you compare it to another study program, is mostly the fact that your tuition fee is a little bit, or the fee, that's actually the institutional fee, but the tuition fee is a little bit higher. But in terms of housing, you actually might end up cheaper than in other programs. Ines, what's your experience with like your finances and all that stuff? Is it difficult to manage, or do you find it doable?
I think mainly it depends on where you're from. Well, not mainly, but it's certainly a big thing because so I come from Portugal, where the cost of living is considerably cheaper than in the Netherlands. And so for me, that was the first big shock. And you have to be prepared for that, for spending maybe more money on groceries and on going out than you're normally used to. For other people, people from the US, for example, keep telling me that, oh my God, everything's so cheap here. So it really depends on the cost of living that you're used to. For me, the key is just tracking your budget. Give it a few months once again to find the places where things are cheaper, the places where you like things better. I would say that finding a job is useful for that. And I know many people here who rely on this job, for example, for either rent or for having money to go out every month. It really does depend on your personal circumstances and how you want to live your life also. If you want to be going to cafes every day, obviously that's going to be a higher cost of living. But yeah, I think it's definitely manageable. You just have to be prepared for what you're going to encounter, be prepared to budget and to make choices sometimes, and keep track of what you have to pay. So whether it's tuition or campus or rent, always keep that in the back of your mind and have it very clear. Look into what the cost is going to be and prepare yourself for that, I guess.
All right. There was also a question about working part-time and then getting some support from the Dutch government. So if you want more information about that, since we don't offer that, but it's offered by the Dutch government, we recommend that you go to the website duo.nl because they manage everything related to finances as well as getting tuition fee loans from the Dutch government. So if you are an EU citizen, you qualify for that. And if you have a part-time job, part of that loan can actually also become a grant. So I do recommend that you check it out. Are any of the students here making use of that? Caio, Ines? Okay. But I wanted to ask something else related to finances. Something about scholarships. Can one of you guys talk about scholarships, or do you prefer I handle it, Ines and Caio?
I can talk about I actually can't because it's no longer available as internship. The scholarship I just remembered. But
the Holland scholarship.
Go ahead. The Holland scholarship, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Leiden University College has some partial scholarships available, and they are needs-based. So you can apply for them when you apply for the program. We recommend that you apply early bird, and then you can get a discount of, I think the maximum you can get is 5,000 off, depending on whether you're non-EU or EU. EU students, I think, can get maximum the institutional fee waived. So we do have an extensive page about that on our website. Maybe Maarten would be willing to grab that for you and drop it in the chat for those of you who are interested in learning more about financial aid. So there is some financial aid available. We really want to try to have students with different backgrounds in the program, including different financial backgrounds, because it's also, we want to try to offer opportunities to all kinds of different students. It's a bit of a balance. So that's how we, I see Maarten dropped it here. A question about language. Is the Dutch language hard to learn? My native language is Romanian, which is Latin in background. I see Ines smiling.
I mean, Caio and I are both taking Dutch right now, and our native languages are both Portuguese. I will say it's harder than learning another Latin language, obviously. But if you're comfortable with English, which at LUC, well, you sort of have to be, if you're comfortable with English, you can sort of start from there and it becomes a little easier. It's a sort of hybrid English-German, in my personal opinion, not trying to offend anyone here. But I wouldn't say it's awfully hard to learn. You can get the basics down pretty quickly, especially the basics that you need for your everyday life. And it's easy to understand the basics also if you have that confidence in English. So you'll be fine.
All right, we have a couple of minutes left, so let me see what questions are still open. Maarten, if we apply early bird and get our results soon, but are still waiting on other university decisions, how long can we hold off on confirming LUC attendance? A lot of people want to know this.
So once you receive an offer from us, you tend to get, depending on how close we are to summer, obviously, about 2 to 3 weeks to decide if you want to join LUC or not. If you want to join, then you have to pay a deposit. The first year campus fee will be your deposit of declaring if you want to come. And students that receive or decide before the 1st of May, that have received an offer and before the 1st of May decide not to come to LUC will be eligible to get that deposit back. However, if you decide this after the 1st of May, then it's not possible anymore. So that's something to keep in mind.
All right, very clear. Would you actually mind staying on and talking about some other questions that I think are in your field? So as a refugee in the Netherlands, is it possible to study at Leiden University with a bachelor's diploma, or do I have to do a HBO? So yeah, I think you can answer this, Maarten.
It really depends on what diploma you have. So we have an extensive list of diplomas that Leiden University accepts, which you can find on our website. And it also lists the minimum requirements that you need to obtain to study at Leiden and also take part in the Leiden University College selection. If your diploma is not on there, please contact the admissions office and then we'll see what your credentials are. Because it might be that you have to make an application in order to determine what diploma you have.
Yeah, so it's not actually about being a refugee or not. So also your tuition fee status is separate from your diploma.
Yes.
Those are two separate things as well. Yuri, are research methods a part of the major? Is it possible to do a research project?
Yes, not even possible. I think you will have to if you do a major. First of all, every major has certain method components. So you have to do qualitative or quantitative research methods, depending on which major you're doing. In ES, we have field methods, but if you do IJ, you have legal methods. Like there's all these different types of method courses to prepare you for doing research, whether that's scientific research or different type of research. At the end of your program or your time at LUC, you do a capstone, which is also one big research project, which is really your own. So in a course, they might ask you to do a research project, but on a certain topic. The capstone is really where you pick a global challenge that you find interesting yourself, and then together with a staff member, you start researching that, and then you write up a report on that. So yes, you'll absolutely do cool research projects.
All right, thank you. There are a few questions left and we have like 1 or 2 minutes before we go to the virtual campus tour. So is it possible to do a master in law after doing a major other than international justice? This is a tricky one because there are a couple of professions in the world that are protected. So law is one of them, psychology is one of them. So we definitely have students going on to sort of like a legal field. If you don't major in IJ, the chance of getting accepted for that is smaller and smaller. So they will look at what you've done within LUC, how many law-based courses you've taken, and then that will determine whether you can be admitted to a law master. If you want a career as a lawyer, by the way, you need to be aware that also there are requirements per country as well if you want to become a practicing lawyer. So it requires a little bit of research. If you already know you might want to do a master in law, I would actually recommend majoring in international justice rather than in something else. Maarten, do you want to add anything to that?
No, not really. I think you explained it well.
Okay, perfect. 2 more questions I see here. How safe is The Hague? Are there any areas to avoid? Students? Or
Pretty
Yuri?
safe. I mean, I come from Brazil, so but it's pretty safe. I never had any problems. It's a pretty central location, so of course it's like an extra station. So sometimes late at night there may be some people around, maybe a bit drunk or something, but it's overall really safe, and the building itself is really safe. Security guards 24/7. during the night. You have to use the side door with the student card. So overall, really safe, I'd say.
I think so too. Yeah, you just have to be a little bit sensible, because I actually had a visitor from Brazil like 2 weeks ago, and he did have his backpack stolen on the train, but his backpack was out of his sight and it had like a laptop in it. And yeah, so you do have to keep your stuff inside. So that was really unfortunate. But in general, I would say it's very safe. And maybe finally, what type of weekly schedule can we expect is the last one I see open here, at least in my secret document. Ines, you already talked a bit about that, I think. So I don't know if you want to, I guess the question came up again, or?
Yeah, I can just repeat what I had last time, which is if you're taking a normal course load, so that's 3 courses per block, you'll have about 12 hours of in-class time every week. And the rest of that, you basically get to structure however you want. You have to prepare for your classes, to do readings, to do assignments, projects, individually or in a group. But you do have a lot of free time, and it's up to you to structure how you want to use that. But yes, so the non-negotiables, I would say, are those 12 hours, and there is a quite strict attendance policy, unlike in other universities.
Yeah, okay, cool. I did see actually a question just come in, which I think is very cool. Is there an applicant group chat to meet people beforehand on WhatsApp or Instagram and ask each other questions? Ines, you were just a mentor, so maybe you can talk about this.
Yeah, so I don't think there's an applicant group chat as far as I'm aware, but I haven't been an applicant in 2 years, so I wouldn't know. But every year there's a group chat that sort of begins spontaneously for people who have been accepted to LUC. That usually starts through Instagram or WhatsApp, and there's a bunch of channels that are facilitated by the uni for you to get to meet your fellow freshmen. So there's an Instagram page where you can introduce yourself, and also intro week, where you will meet everyone regardless.
Yes, exactly. So we've got indeed, we started this a couple of years ago. So we have an Instagram page where you can introduce yourself, and a lot of the group chats spin off from that. So we really try to facilitate. And actually, we also have a webinar in June to prepare you for departure. So what do you need to arrange and what do you need to know? And then we also do a pre-union, which is a virtual meeting like this, where you get to meet your classmates as well before coming over. So we try to facilitate it as much as we can. I think that concludes the Q&A, and we will move over to the campus tour. So if you've already visited the campus, then of course you don't have to stick around for that. I think Maarten makes a really good point. If you have admissions questions, he is actually hosting admissions workshops. So the admissions workshops revolve all around the admissions process, and you can join them. The sign up, I think, is already open on the website, and we will also do an online Q&A kind of office hours where you can just wander in. So keep an eye on the website for that and mark your calendar. I think with that, I'm going to give the floor to Caio and Laura, and I'm going to thank our fantastic panel and all the students, because you dedicated a long part of your afternoon to this. We are very honored, and we appreciate that you have your cameras on and that you asked amazing questions. I hope it was useful for you as well. We will send a follow-up soon with the recording of the general sessions, and feedback is also welcome, because we are still learning. So if you have feedback on this event, please let us know. Be as honest and direct as you can. All right. Thank you, Yuri. Thank you, Ines. Thank you, Maarten, Jolande, Sohana, Ashley, everyone who was around. And Caio and Laura, shall I give the floor to you?
Laura can start. She's already on floor 0, I think. I'll go meet her. But Laura, feel free to start the tour.
There she
I'll be
is.
joining
Right,
in a bit.
let's spotlight her.
Okay. Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm right outside the building right now. And you can see the logo here. So I'm just waiting for Caio, but I'll be giving the tour. So as I said before, I'm Laura. I'm a 3rd-year student here at LUC. I'm majoring in governance, economics, and development, but I'm also doing a minor in international justice. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the tour. Let me just switch. So this is the view in front of the building, and this is the building. Very high building. With the logo here. Maybe let's walk inside. So we have these revolving doors where everyone just walks through. But there's another entrance when these ones are closed that I'll show you guys after. Okay. And now we're officially inside the building. So there's Caio. He's there. So this is floor 0, and this is the entrance of the building. Anything you want to comment on the first floor, the entrance?
This is the entrance of LUC. Like I mentioned just a while ago, this entrance is always open during the days and weekdays. And during the weekends, we use a side door where you have to put your student card to get in. So it's safe. The guards are also always there.
Okay, let's move. So now we're going to the, I would call it the practical side of LUC. So it's not necessarily the most interesting aspect of the building, but if you're living here, it's kind of necessary.
So these are the mailboxes. Here's where, as you guys know, you all live in the building on your first and second year. So your mail gets here. If you have bigger packages, also there's an area. In here, you know, I've never heard about the biking culture in the Netherlands. Maybe you want to talk a bit about that. Yeah, wait, let me just flip the camera here.
Okay.
Oh, I actually deactivated the camera. Here, done.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone here bikes in the Netherlands. It's crazy. I don't know if you've seen, but I see all the time politicians just biking, or also just even the dean. He comes to LUC with his bike, so that's pretty funny. But don't worry if you don't know how to bike, because of the location of the campus, it's very easy to live without a bike. So for instance, I usually use public transportation. And that's completely fine because we're right next to the central station, so I can have access to trams, trains, buses, metros, anything. Caio, do you have a bike?
I do have a bike, but my lock is jammed, so I haven't used it in a while. It's there. Maybe I should fix it. But also, and the beach is also a 20 minutes bike away. So yeah, whenever the weather is good, that's also a possibility. Yeah.
So a fun fact about this is that I used to have this letterbox, and I'm quite short, so I would have to jump, but it's just funny. Now we move to another practical side of the building, which is the laundry area. So we have 4 laundry machines here. No, 5 of them, and then 4 dryers. So that means that you can do your laundry here and you don't have to worry about this. You just bring down your basket of clothes and then put it in the laundry machine. And then when it's done, you can come back and collect it. It's very safe. People don't usually get their clothes stolen. It's not really a thing of the community. And you can also see online if the machines are currently being used. So you can also plan around that. Yeah.
Yes, now we can go. This is the side door I mentioned, by the way, right there. That is open on the weekends and during the night, which you need to use your LU card, student card to get in. Do you have your student card there? Yeah, so here as well, for example.
You use it to open the doors. It shows again that the building is just very safe.
Now we're here back on floor 0. Now we're going up to floor 1, which all the social and student life aspects of LUC take place.
It's technically considered an academic floor, but it's the less academic of the academic floors. We have a lot of events organized on this floor, a lot of things happening. Where do we want to start? Maybe by the Fortuna office?
Yes. You want to talk a bit about Fortuna?
Yes. So here's the Fortuna office. They're actually having a meeting inside right now. So maybe let's try not to disturb them. But Fortuna is this big mother association of all the committees here at LUC. And encourage. And then how many committees do we have? I think there's too many for us to count. But for instance, myself, I'm on the board of the literary committee and on the board of the dance committee. So there's really a lot of place for you to explore new hobbies or just continue with yours. There's a lot of really cool events also organized by those committees. So for instance, Diaz and Panto organize these big shows. And they're really cool to attend and just participate in as well. Kayo, do you have a committee that you're part of?
I'm actually not part of any committee, so I can't help with that. But about a number of committees, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 30, 31 or something like that. So yeah, now one of the nice parts of the LUC building as well is this area where you can come just to have meetings. And this is the music room. You may be actually hearing some music from the microphone, but there is something happening there actually.
Can you guys hear the battery playing?
Yeah, there's someone practicing. So there's this music room, and here the student bar, which is open 3 times a week, not mistaken. And it's switched to on the evenings of 3 times a week. And they also host parties, which is what happened tonight actually, Halloween party. So this area, this floor becomes kind of a dance floor. There are the music rooms where the DJ stays. And yeah, this is a really social and fun floor of the building. Oh, and here there's the computer lab as well.
Yeah, that is very useful to know, because if you have a problem with your laptop and you need it to get repaired, you can ask for a replacement one here. And sometimes they can also help you install programs that you find difficult to install. So very useful thing to know. We're headed to floor 2 now. So our second academic floor. Do you want to maybe introduce floor 2?
Yes, floor 2 is basically the study area of the building. So that's where people come to study. Me as a third year, I come for my 9 a.m. classes and then stay until the rest of the day here. So I have my lunch here as well. It's basically my second home. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Now we're going to show a bit of the study area as well. Do you come here a lot, Laura?
Yeah, I have a lot of classes in the mornings, and then, as you said, I come here at 9 a.m. and then I have time to kill in between my 2 classes. So I just come here to study, or also when I have group works, I like to meet with my groups here. What about you?
Yeah, same. And it's also a really nice area as well when you're in the building to just, if you want to hang out with your friends but don't feel like having people over and you also need to study, you just text your friends like, do you want to go to floor 2 and study together? And then you can always come here. It's not really a silent study area, so you can talk. But if you like a more silent study place, the other Leiden University building, like we mentioned on the call, you have access to a Leiden University buildings. The other one that is 5-10 minutes walk, there is a silent area. One of those, I like to open a package of food, everyone will look at you because it's silent. So you have the best of both worlds.
Vending machines here as well to provide our minds snacks.
Classrooms are already on this floor, but now we're going to floor 3 where there are most of the classrooms.
So I don't know if you saw, but there's a bunch of students here on floor 2. So it really shows that it's a lively place. People come here, like they actually do come here to work, or just hang out as well. You never know. But yeah, now we're headed to floor 3, where
it's a bit loud because there's class break going on right now. So people are on class break. So it's a tiny bit loud.
But some professors also have you lead the classroom. So that's very fun, because then you get to pretend to be a professor and give out your thoughts about a certain topic.
Yeah. And all classrooms are small scale. The maximum number of students per class is like 22, I think.
Yeah, it's usually around 20, but depending on the topic and depending on when you're taking it, you can have smaller sizes. So for instance, right now I'm taking one class and we're 7 or 8, I think. And I also had another course where we were just 8. So that's amazing because you get to know the professor really on a one-on-one basis, even in the classes where we're 20.
Yeah, it's really, they know you by name, like it's small scale, which is nice. You talk about professors knowing you by name. We can now go to floor 4. No, maybe terrace first?
Oh yeah, let's go see the terrace because it's not raining.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to see. Forgive us for the sound. It is a little bit loud. Okay, maybe let's start with the auditorium.
There's a class going on, so we're just explaining before. We can open the door to show it, but most of the classes are small scale in those classrooms, but sometimes there are lectures here.
the recruiter Hague, we saw before, who was recruiting teenagers into United Clubs, and he says the boys that are recruited have a reputation in Leiden.
So the auditorium is usually used for global challenges on your first year, and other than that,
Yeah.
we're back.
Okay.
Sorry, technical problems. Wait, I joined from. Let's see if it works. So this is what the terrace looks like.
There we go.
When it's good weather, people come here to stay on the sun, chill. There was twice actually, terrace parties here where there was a DJ and party happening here. Here you see the central station of The Hague, which shows how central the location of the LUC building is. And just crossing that station, there's another Leiden University building. Anything to say about the terrace?
It's a really cool space to hang out with, especially when it's sunny. But we also organize a lot of different events, not only the parties, but also ActiWare. They plan different plans. And the literature committee does open readings on the terrace, so it's really nice.
Perfect. Now, this is what the building looks like, by the way. And now we're going to floor 4, which is where the professors and the staff, the amazing staff of LUC that you met them today as well on this call, work. Which, do you have any experience one-on-one with professors that show the small scale LUC aspects?
I have a lot of experience, actually. A lot of professors encourage you to come to their office hours. So I try to make the most of that. And also, they just really appreciate it. I had one professor complain that people didn't come enough, and that he only wanted to talk about his cat as well as the material from the course. But they're very nice, very useful. And on the 4th floor, you don't only get to meet the professors, but also all the rest of the LUC staff, which means you can also meet the study advisors, the study counselors, And so we were organizing this thing, and we realized we needed someone to book the rooms. So we went upstairs, and then we saw the person in charge of this, and we just asked them if we could have a meeting, and they said yes. So that's amazing. It just shows you how open everyone is and how helpful they are.
Yeah, so also on your last year, you write your capstone thesis, which is your final thesis and things like that. So your professors are always here to help you out with this. So you live in the building as well, so you can just come down and have office hours with them.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Now shall we go to residential floors?
Yes. So this is the moment you've all been waiting for, but we're going to see one of the rooms and as well the common room and just what a residential floor looks like. Kayo and I unfortunately don't live in the building anymore, so that means that we had to ask a friend of ours to show their room. How was your experience living in the building?
I personally had a great time living in the building. My favorite place to study was my common room. Every floor has a common room, which we're also going to show, and that was my favorite part of LUC. By the way, we're entering the elevator, so the connection may go down for a second, but we'll be back soon. I'll try to keep talking and see if it works. So, okay, we chose actually the floor that yesterday did a Halloween haunted house. So it's really personalized right now. It's usually not like this, but it shows how the LUC community is. So usually the floors have like the people on the floor personalize their elevator room, which is this room. So they have all the birthdays, which is super nice and super cute. Which corridor are we going?
Long corridor, but first I wanted to show this board here. Because here you get the contact information, or at least the name of your residential assistant, which is very important. This person is in charge of the community life on the floor, but they are also trained in the sense that they can help you if you have a problem. They will either direct you to the correct resources, or they can help you as a first point of instance, and then refer you later.
Yeah, super helpful, makes you feel really safe at LUC. And also during the night, there is also someone with a phone that will pick up in case there's an emergency, which is super nice. And again, people decorate the floor, the students decorate the floor. So here you can see some nice pictures of residents of floor 13, which is super nice. This is not one of the highest floors, so the view from the side is not amazing, but you can see like that. If you were a bit higher, you could see the sea from here, which is quite nice. Shall we go with the common room first?
Let's go to the common room first. So each floor gets a common room. The thing is, the common room depends on the size of the floor. So bigger floors have bigger common rooms, but it's not really an issue. So here we're looking at one of the bigger floors with a bigger common room.
And every common room is a responsibility of the students and of the residents of the floor. So they decorate it however they want. So usually every floor has a theme or a color or something. I know floor 11 is 11 heaven, so they have clouds drawn on the wall, which is super cool. And they have different things in the common room. This one, for instance, has a ping pong table, 2 freezers, which is a lot. So the students also like sometimes have this in common rooms, so they can use a shared freezer because they just have fridges in the room. So this is quite nice. And yeah, every common room is a different way. Mine has a bathtub. We used to have a bathtub. I don't live here anymore, but floor 14 used to have a bathtub for some reason. So,
Mine was decorated with a bunch of palm trees, and we had a specific rectangle, like a white rectangle, to use for the projections because we used to do floor movie nights. Every floor has these activities. Most of them do floor dinners as well once a week, so that's a nice way to get to engage with your neighbors and get to know them because most often than not, they are your first friends at LUC. But don't worry, you also make a bunch of friends during intro week and the rest of the year. So
yes, for sure. Yeah. You want to show the room now?
Yeah, let's go to a room. So the room we're going to see is a typical room, very normal room that you can find here at ADV.
Yeah. All rooms are usually the same size, right? But except for the corner rooms, which are slightly bigger.
Yes.
But yeah.
So a couple of rooms are a little bit different, but all of them should be around 26, 28 square meters. And here we go.
And every student can personalize their door as well. And yeah. Okay. Can we come in?
Yeah. Ta-da! Oh my god.
This is Maja.
Please come in. She's also a student ambassador, so she's one of our colleagues.
Do you want to show your room? Or should we? We can do it.
Feel free.
Okay.
I'll just change the lighting so you guys have the...
Amazing. Go ahead.
But yeah, so this is a typical room. So you would first have this kitchen area. Your room comes with the induction plate and the fridge here. So it's a small fridge, your own fridge. And then your sink. All the other appliances you got, how did you get them?
I got them through our lovely buy and sell group chats, mostly, or from Marketplace.
So there we go. A lot of the students who move out tend to sell their extra furniture or extra appliances on our group chat so that new students can repurpose them. I think that's a really cool aspect of our community. The room also comes with this here. And let's look more inside the room. So this is what it looks like.
Do you still have your duo bed?
Yeah, I still use it.
Yeah, that's what.
So here Maja has her duo bed. So this is the bed that comes in with the room. But a lot of students might actually switch it out, so that's what I did. I gave my bed to a friend of mine who then put 2 of them together and then had a huge bed. So yeah, really depends on what you want. The room also comes with this table. And now I'm going to show the bathroom because that's also something cool. You get to have your own bathroom. So it's a very normal standard bathroom, but you have the toilet, the shower, and then a sink with a mirror. Is there anything else that you guys want to mention maybe?
You also get a wardrobe.
Oh yeah, the wardrobe
It's
here.
pretty nice. You get to store all your items. It's with shelves and are for hangers. And you also get a lovely tunnel.
I would say most of the students also try to personalize their room as much as possible. And it's quite funny because every single student has a different vibe to their room. So it's like you get to see a different universe every time you enter a new room.
Yeah, should we have the view?
Oh yeah. Well,
sorry, there's a tree covering the view of it.
Ta-da! The view from floor 13. Yes. There are 21 floors on this building, so you can go very high as well. which is quite nice.
Yeah.
The view is amazing.
Thank you, Maja.
Of course.
Ciao, ciao.
See you. Have fun and the rest of the tour.
Thank you. So I think we can end our tour on floor 13. So this is what the building looks like. Every floor is different, of course, but this is, yeah, it's just the decoration that is different, but this is what it looks like. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. Do we have any questions?
How do we see the chat?
No, there were no questions that came in. We're also at the end of the time, so I don't know if there are any students who have any last questions. Do you want to unmute yourself?
There's one
There's
here.
a question. Yeah, go for it.
Do you socialize much with Leiden University students from the other Hague campus, not LUC?
Yeah,
do you wanna
I
answer that?
think we have a little nickname that we call ourselves, and that other Leiden University courses I think also call us, which is a bit like the bubble. And we love our little bubble that we stay here all the time. But yeah, it ends up being a bubble. So you obviously have a lot of access to those people, and you can definitely be friends with them. I have some friends with, I'm friends with some people from there. But yeah, you gotta force yourself to get out of the bubble. You gotta force yourself to meet them and go outside, because otherwise you just get too comfortable and just stay here.
But if you do study at Wijnhaven, for instance, then you get to meet those people. And sometimes they also come to Coasters, so that's another way of them meeting
the
us.
student bar.
Which is
Coasters,
our
the
student bar.
Yeah, that we
So,
showed.
yeah. Let's see, any other questions? Is there any kind of meal plan or cafeteria, or are students on their own?
In terms of food, students usually cook for themselves. There are a lot of, there is a, how do you call that? The food area downstairs, another like a private food hall.
Oh, yeah, the food hall downstairs.
So you have a lot of food around that you can eat, but usually students cook their own food. I just saw in the room there's a kitchen, there's a cooktop, there is everything you need. So yeah, there's no cafeteria in this building.
But there is like small cafeteria at Wijnhaven, so that's also an option. But yeah, most people, since they live in the building, they might as well cook in their apartments.
Yeah, and Wijnhaven is the other Leiden University building across the street that across the station that we mentioned.
If an incoming student is in their late 20s and has family, are they still required to live in the dorms?
Maybe Martin or Anna can answer that, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Normally, the idea is that everyone lives on campus because it's a living, learning community. But if you have circumstances that make it either really impossible or something like that, then you can request it with the dean to get exempted from the requirement. So in this situation, I would get in touch with the dean and see what the possibilities are for that. So it's not an automatic yes, it's also not an automatic no.
But I would say, in my experience, I have friends who are much older than me, but they also enjoyed living on the floor because it's really a strong community. And as we have mentioned before, there are people who do what's it called? Gap years. So they are older than people who might have just joined after doing high school. So you get a little mix of ages, I would say. And the floor community, or just the LUC community in general, also makes it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I think actually last summer we had a couple of students starting who were 23, 24. And maybe in previous years there have been students who were in their late 20s as well. But if you have a family or if you have children, then it's maybe a slightly different situation. So there would be a request for the dean, I think.
Are we allowed to have string lights? String lights or fairy lights?
I think so.
But yeah, that would be, yes, it would be a yes. You can decorate your room. You can have extra lamps, extra fairy lights. My room used to have fairy lights as well. I used to have a lot of pillows as well. You can decorate, you can do whatever you want as long as it's allowed by Duo. So Duo is the contractor and also the company who manages the rooms. So if you have any problems with them, I contact them and they usually resolve your issue in less than a week. But yeah. Are students on the floor all in the same year? No, they are not. Floors are mixed with year 1 and 2. And sometimes your residential assistants are also third years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then there was another question about our plans for after LUC. Kaya, have you already thought of that?
Oh, my data just ended.
Oh.
And no, I actually don't have it really clear yet, but I want to do a master's, but we'll see. I stay in the Netherlands, figure it out. Yeah.
No, I'm also thinking of doing a master's after LUC, but not in the Netherlands. So I've been looking, for instance, at the Hertie School, which is quite close to the program of governance, economics, and development. So, but yeah, but a lot of people end up doing a lot of different things. I have friends who plan on going straight to work, others who intend on doing internships. I think the program itself gives you a lot of basis to do whatever you want after. So yeah. Were there any more questions? Study abroad in your first semester and your third year. Is it hard to find housing or just one semester when you return?
You have a lot of people in the same situation also looking for housing. So you would definitely have people to live with, like roommates. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's that big of an issue. I think like housing in the Netherlands is quite difficult. And I think regardless of how long you're staying, maybe a bit more like if you're staying for just 6 months, but you definitely figure it out. There'll be a bunch of people in the same situation as you coming back from exchange.
It might be difficult, but everyone ends up finding a house. So no one is homeless.
Yeah. I guess, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
And we
thank you
hope
for
to
joining.
see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Remember to apply, early bird deadline, December 1st.
Yes.
And there was one more question from Teresa. LUC is not numerous fixes. It is indeed not numerous fixes. We have selection. It's a different type of selection. Thanks, guys. That was an awesome campus tour. Sorry about the connection issues. I hope all the viewers enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being with us for so long. Your stamina is amazing. And let us know if you have more questions or if you have feedback. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.